still to this day, I just play because I love it. But yeah, I started playing honestly because my brother did, and I wanted to do what he did. And I mean, I was convinced as I progressed through sports, I was going to go to the Olympics, but for some reason I thought myself as like a speed skater, even though I don't skate. But that was, I remember Katrina LeMay-Doan winning gold, and yeah, I was going to do that. So no, soccer was just what I did for fun because I loved it. And then the legacy I've left, I don't know, I think when I'm actually done playing, I'll look back on that. I'm just proud to have been a part of just the growth of women's football around the world, and obviously here in Canada. I mean, obviously it's like mixed emotions for me, because yeah, I saw what Steph went through. You know, obviously I've seen what US teammates, you know, like Megan Rapinoe went through, and like, yes, that is my worst nightmare. However, I do realize it's going to be a special night, and this is, you know, a great opportunity to play 4 games across Canada, and for me to be able to say thank you to the fans that have supported me throughout my career. And then, yeah, the one in Vancouver. I don't know what is going to be planned. I just have told people I don't want to be surprised by anything. So going to work, so obviously in Portland, after I announced, we've still got work to do there, you know, fighting for a championship, and that's just been going to work normal, like I have been for the past 11 years there, and, you know, hopefully still work to be done there next year. But here, yeah, just trying to soak it all in. And players have asked, like, what's it like to come and, like, play with no stress? Because, you know, like, in a way, I'm not trying to make a team. I'm not trying to make a roster or a lineup. And, yeah, it's freeing to just kind of come back to my roots of just playing for the love of it and enjoying the time with my teammates. And, you know, it's a unique opportunity to get to play games at home. As for the U.S. soccer thing, that was a big oops. Not a big oops, but yeah, I had blocked them. I think it was pre-Tokyo. I think it was like right before we were playing them, and just it was enough. And yeah, I blocked them, and I forgot I had done it. And I haven't been on Twitter since, or X or whatever it's called now. I haven't been on it since like before the World Cup, so totally forgot. Haven't seen what they wrote, except one of my teammates here showed me, and yeah, I mean, obviously huge rivals, but I thank them for the kind words, and obviously I'm teammates with their captain in Portland, Becky Sauerbrunn, and she said she got asked about it in one of their press conferences as well, and it's just totally a sync thing to do. So no, I mean, I think the biggest thing was after Tokyo, just the way we went out and won the thing. I knew I didn't want to play in Paris. There's no better way to go out, but I did want to give the World Cup one more shot. I thought this team had a unique opportunity to prove to the world, you know, that Tokyo wasn't a fluke. And obviously, we haven't had the most success in World Cups, so I knew I could play. I was ready to go and wanted to give it one more shot. And then with the way the World Cup went, I didn't want that to be it, and I wanted to be a part. I talked to Bev, and I wanted to be a part of the group to help the team qualify for Paris, for the team, but for me personally, it was important. And I thought that was going to be it, and I was going to walk off and not say a word and just be done. But then there were rumors of 4 games being played in Canada, and my friends and family convinced me you can't just leave. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to Canada to come out and play these games. No, I mean, the fight. I'm always up for the fight, and you know, obviously we've seen what past teammates have done after they've retired, and they continue to push for whether it's a professional league in Canada or they're working behind the scenes with our lawyers to get things done. So that'll never end. I'm like split on where things are at. I think moving forward, hopefully there's going to be a professional league in the next couple of years in Canada. I think we need that desperately in terms of contracts and things like that. It's been a harder battle than I thought it was going to be, but I think moving forward, at the very least, we'll have the same as the men, which is a huge step forward for this program. Is it where we ideally want it? No. But obviously there's some things going on behind the scenes that we can't control. But at the very least, we'll have equality with the men within this federation, which, is all we can ask for at this point. I mean, obviously, I'm going to stay involved in the game. This game has been my life since I was 4. But yeah, I plan, obviously, to play another year in Portland, hopefully, and we'll go from there. But whether it's coaching, whether it's behind the scenes, yeah, I'm not leaving.
The Canadian women are playing in some friendlies here to end off the year, 4 to be exact. They will be in Montreal on the weekend. We're going to have that game as well here on One Soccer heading into the CPL final. Then on Halloween night, on the 31st, they'll be in action again. Both those games will be against Brazil. And then they have announced their December window, December 1st and 5th. Those games are going to be out west, which, as we know, is going to be special because Christine Sinclair announcing her retirement from the national team. She's from out west. It'll be really nice for her to be able to play her final game there and have family and friends come out, as well as all the fans who during this time get a ticket, say goodbye to, the best that has represented this country. But we're already kind of looking ahead, guys, because they have qualified for the Olympics, which are less than a year away. They are the defending champions. And I'm wondering, Ollie, who do you expect to become the face of this team?
I don't think you can put that on any one individual player. I think it has to be a collective thing when you're talking about, someone who's had the impact that Christine Sinclair has had, scored the amount of goals that Christine Sinclair has scored. And I think it's been a real struggle over the past few years to collectively do that, even without identifying one individual player. Like we saw at the World Cup, Canada gets in some trouble and it still turns to Sinclair, gets Sinclair on the pitch and Sophie Schmidt as well. The veteran players were still heavily relied upon. So what I would say is that in that last window against Jamaica, and it is only Jamaica with all due respect, so you need to see it tested against a tougher opponent. But you saw for the first time, I think, a team that looked like it had kind of a new identity without Sinclair. They won that tie without really Sinclair playing a part until the latter stages when the tie was already wrapped up. And there was things they did tactically. There was new players they introduced, like Chloe Lacasse, who has generally been more of a bench player. That gave me some confidence that there is a really clear idea in Bev Priestman's mind of what this team does look like going forwards. Without Sinclair there as their centre forward. So it's going to take individuals like Lacasse, like Heitzema, like Leon, like Ashley Lawrence in a more advanced role, taking on more responsibility. But I think that there's more of an idea about how they want to play now, I think, in that post-Sinclair era, which is reason for encouragement.
Wheels?
Yeah, it's tough because Sinclair was just such a focal point over the course of 2 decades. Just like she would take the team, put them on their backs, score an incredible number of goals, and get all the headlines. Can an outside right or a right back like Ashley Lawrence be that face of the program? I think she's a phenomenal player, but it's just in such a different mold than Christine Sinclair. I think the closest thing would be Jessie Fleming, because she's in control of how the team ticks over in terms of the way that they play in the middle of the park. And she takes set pieces. She takes penalties. She has now become, for me, Fleming, the focal point of the Canadian women's national team. And I think there's a real opportunity for her to continue to grow into that role, into that spotlight, and really become the focal point here, even more so than she was over the course of that run at the Olympics.
Yeah, Fleming's the temperature gauger. Wheels, you're so right, and that's what most attacking mids, 8s are. Just the way that she plays. But I guess there's a mix for both your answers. It's gonna be by committee, right? I don't think one player can do what Christine Sinclair has done. But they just need to get together. But what you mentioned on One Nation, Andy, if you remember, is profound, and I feel like that is really how I feel as well. Sometimes when you have a Christine Sinclair, you just rely on her. Maybe you not dumb down your performance, but instead of being a 9 out of 10, you're a 7 just because
you defer.
You have someone to rely on. Yeah. But then now Christine maybe out of the picture, she could just rise to the top. So I give her a high 5 for it on Monday on One Nation. But I thought that was spot on, and that's probably how. Even though you forgot about it, but that's what's important to me. I think that it sticks out. That's probably what could be happening with the women's national team.
I never forget when someone gives me props. Never.
Got it.
That's true.
Yeah, this is true, and I will not deny this whatsoever. So yeah, it's gonna. Needless to say, it's gonna be a very busy Saturday for us here on One Soccer, but we're excited because we'll have that women's game versus Brazil, followed by the CPL final, Forge and Calvary. So we're gonna be basically on the air from 5 a.m. until no, I'm kidding, but we are going to be on
seem
the
like
air from like 1:30 p.m. ET, right straight through to the end of the CPL final.